The following tool introduction notes are from a teleconference with Jeff Friend from Metrics That Matter, or MTM, and Explorance. By the way, the Explorance company bought MTM. They keep both product brand names. The MTM tool is geared for corporations, and the Explorance tool is geared toward universities. This presentation includes PDF versions of some of the MTM sales charts shared with me by Jeff Friend and some I built. More and more L&D functions are seeing a greater need to measure, track metrics, show their value, and obtain additional funding. The MTM tool is a way to measure all aspects of learning and development so that training improvements can be made, employee learning and performance is increased, and ultimately return on investment can increase. An interesting fact they discussed in the conference: come July 2019, we will be in the longest growth spurt in U.S. history. One of the speakers, which was economist Dave Vance, predicts we will be in a recession within the next 2 years. This is another reason that L&D functions should start proving their value and be prepared for lower funding amounts in the future. Pause this video anytime to read more details on the upcoming charts if desired. This chart shows the Kirkpatrick Learning Evaluation Levels 1 through 4. This chart shows the Kirkpatrick Learning Evaluation Levels 1 through 4, red bottom to top, and the ROI Institute Level 5 evaluation, which is ROI. This is the industry standard for measuring learning effectiveness. Level 1, reaction, is measuring if the student enjoyed the training, and Level 2 measures if they learned the material. This is what we are currently measuring with our cornerstone surveys given to students after the course. The MTM product and methodology measures all 5 levels and provides reports that show you how your training programs are doing in these levels, how your programs compare against industry benchmarks, and provides you suggestions on how to improve your programs. All these reports, analysis, and suggestions are generated automatically and sent to you by MTM, saving you a lot of time in crunching the data yourself. The surveys are also sent to the students automatically. Level 1 and 2 are good measures to have, but levels 3 through 5 is the data that executives are seeking. Level 1 and 2 are good measures to have, but levels 3 through 5 is the data. Levels 1 and 2 are good measures to have, but levels 3 through 5 are the data that executives are seeking from L&D departments. Are the L&D departments improving performance and the bottom line, and do they have a positive ROI? My thoughts are that the product seems very good, the customers at the conference are pretty happy with the product, and they are making training improvements using these tools. Should we get this product, and is it worth the money? I can't answer that. I don't know how much it costs. MTM would like to come do a demo before talking about pricing. This chart gives a broad overview of MTM, how long they've been in business. This chart gives a broad overview of MTM and how long they've been in business, that they are used by 35% of the Fortune 100 companies, and they have 1.5 billion data points from all their customers over 19 years of providing data. This chart is a broad overview of MTM, how long they've been in business, that they are used by 35% of the Fortune 100 companies, that they have 1.5 billion data points from all their customers over 19 years, and this provides the benchmark data I spoke of earlier, and they have subject matter experts to help develop your strategy and use their tools. MTM uses what they call smart sheets. These are the surveys. They're evaluation tools that are very specifically designed and sent out automatically at the right times. These surveys have been evolved over the last 19 years and use the Kirkpatrick levels 1 through 4 evaluation criteria, the ROI Institute's level the ROI Institute's Level 5 ROI, and other notable survey and measurement institutions' designs and criteria. These designs have been approved by all of the above-mentioned institutions and have been validated by 1.5 billion data points. The questions they have on the smart sheets are far better than what we could come up with our own questions. These smart sheets gather all the data from our students, instructors, and managers, and that generates the reports, dashboards, and recommendations. This chart shows the value of their system and the automated reports and data you receive, thus eliminating you from crunching the data yourself. The first triangle shows that 80% of your time would be spent manually collecting evaluations, compiling data, building reports, and repeating the process. That only leaves 20% of your time to analyze the data and act on it. On the contrary, with MTM's automatic process, the data and results are calculated and correlated for you automatically and sent to you with recommendations. That leaves you 80% of your time to take action on the data results you received. This chart shows some of the notable companies that use their product. I met with many L&D people from some really top companies. I was impressed with the companies present and how evolved and well-staffed their L&D departments are. It appears the top companies take measuring learning performance very seriously. MTM uses what they call their portfolio methodology. They would align all of our training assets into the 4 buckets shown on this matrix to align with business objectives, and each bucket has its own different measurement approach. This chart shows some actual customer successes in each of the 4 buckets shown on the previous chart, which are the colored boxes across the top 4 columns. It shows the solution, the decisions, and the results for each example. Of course, every vendor shows a similar success chart, but every software vendor shows a similar success chart, but these examples show if MTM This chart shows some actual customer successes in each of the 4 buckets shown on the previous chart in the colored boxes across the top. This chart shows some actual customer successes in each of the 4 buckets shown on the previous chart, the colored boxes across the top. This chart shows some actual customer successes in each of the 4 buckets shown on the previous chart. They're illustrated as the colored boxes across the top 4 columns. It shows the solution, the decisions, and the results for each example. Of course, every software vendor shows a similar success chart, but these examples show if MTM is implemented and used correctly, the product not only pays for itself in cost savings, but training program improvements would continue to help the business. This is an example of the dashboard we would see for our data. The numbers and descriptive text boxes This is an example of the dashboard we would see for our data. The numbers and descriptive text boxes explain each widget, which are all customizable. By the way, with the MTM tool, you can click on each data element and drill down into details using their Data Explorer product. A couple of important terms to define. NPS is Net Promoter Score, which is calculated from the results of the survey question, "Would you recommend this course to your peers?" It is usually on a 1 to 7 scale. The data that scores 6 to 7 is called the promoters, the people that would promote the course. If you subtract their number of scores by the number of detractor scores, the 1s and 2s, you get the Net Promoter Score. This is one of the measurements of training quality. This example shows that 59% of learners would recommend the course. You want to increase this number by improving the training. Another important term to define is scrap. How much learning is not being applied? It is basically what percentage of the course has no value to the learners. You want to decrease this number. As you reduce scrap, your training performance increases. Items 5 and 6 gives one example on where the 1.5 billion data points come into play. The tick marks on these values are the industry benchmarks you can compare your data to.